I am ready to leave Germany, I say, as I finish another beer and toss the bottle on the floor of a car going faster than Speed Racer's Mach 5, driven by a dwarf who can't even see the horizon. There is nothing else I need to see or do here.
Get the map,
the dwarf commands.
We are scheduled to turn the car in tomorrow in Stuttgart. I don't know, I think it's like 400 kilometers away. You know, we could make Amsterdam by dawn.
Yeah, if we live. Yes, can you take us to the red light? I tell the Amsterdam cabbie. It's 9:17 in the morning, cabbie says. No girls in the windows. Can you take us? No, I cannot drive through. I take you close for a look. Okay. Man, I'm ready. Red light comes on after dark. There it is. Across the canal and another street, a seemingly endless line of 3- and 4-story houses sit on a dead, flat street 6 feet above the water. Nothing sleazy. This place looks tidy. Cabbie's right. Not a whore in sight. I would not come here. Well, for the experience to see, yes, but not for the girls. No? No. All foreign. Not safe. Steal your money? And disease. Shit. This is not the way I want my time in Amsterdam to start. Other people may come for Van Gogh, Rembrandt, and Rubens, but I want to smoke weed, see porno, have sex, and go over to Anne Frank's attic. For good Dutch girls, very clean, very safe place. He looks out his window and waves to another cabbie, creating an interest-building pause. Yep, he says. Private club. Pause. I can take you. I just bet he can. I'm not a son of a salesman for nothing. How much? I ask. Here, cabbie says as he hands me something across the seat. It's brochure time. Yab-yum arcs across the cover of a well-thumbed magazine as a dark-haired woman, wearing feathers in her hair, splays across the cover in the best Misty Penthouse style. Inside, gauzy women with gorgeous snatch ripple off page after page. They look like female pincushions. Take my money. Take it, I think to myself. P.T. Barnum didn't say it, okay, but still, there's a sucker born every minute. They don't really look this good, do they? Come on. I swear. Cabbie holds up his hand like we're in court, and his steering wheel is a Bible. Are they open right now? I want to ask.
Excuse me, how much?
Asked the dwarf. Not expensive. Great.
Yes, but how much?
150 guilders for a clean Dutch woman who looks like that. He can feel it. We're not completely in just yet. And drinks. He's working it. All drinks included. 150 guilders.
How long can I get?
7 inches. Ha ha, cabbie actually chuckles. Be with him all night if you want. Wow. How much is 150 guilders in America money?
About a bill,
the dwarf says. But cabbie gets more precise. $91.40 just this morning. I've paid more for girls in Vegas who look like dogs compared to this, I think to myself. Wait a minute, did cabbie hear me? Real Dutch girls, beautiful bodies. Are they open? Now? Oh, no, later. I can take you, Yab-yum, absolutely the best, Yab-yum. Ooh, Mancow's getting laid, yes. The longest dry patch I've experienced since I turned 16 and lost my virginity in my 1972 bright yellow Ford Maverick in perfect working order will soon be over. But cabbie let something slip. So there are other clubs, I ask. I know there are. I want to see the brochures. I want to find out all I can. I have 3 days here before I go back to Mancow's morning madhouse. Which private club am I going to visit before I leave? Where to eat and where to get laid. 2 universal tourist questions posed to cabbies all over. But in Amsterdam, there's another. So I ask it. Where can I buy some weed? Coffee shop every corner, cabbie responds. Cabbie lets us off. We walk into 4 stories of marble in a lobby. Our Amstel Hotel welcome woman says our room's not ready yet. Probably other people still up there humping at 9:30 in the morning, I think.
Yes, could you direct us to the nearest coffee shop, madame?
Jesus Christ, dwarf. You don't ask that kind of question in a place like this. This is a classy place. With pleasure, says Marta, explaining our route while walking us to the door. Would you prefer the cab? She asked. The doorman opens the cab door at the foot of the stairs. The dwarf looks at me. he has to take 4 steps for every one of mine. We've been cooped up all night. I think I'd rather walk. It's a lovely morning. Enjoy yourselves. Nice to have you with us, Mr. Muller and Dwarf. I have never experienced anything like this before. Wow. Wearing rumpled khaki shorts and a T-shirt that I was sleeping in. I'm unshaven. I'm unshowered. I look like hell. But everyone, from the bellboy who helped us out of the cab in his 1930s Western Union pillbox hat, to the doorman who greeted us in his full-length coat and top hat, to the elegantly suited counterman who welcomed us like brothers, to this stunning Dutch beauty in front of us now, everyone, and I mean everyone, at the Amstel treated us with class, taste, and panache. Like we could really afford the place. Okay, so Marta's coffee shop isn't open yet for weed, but there's this guy packing his pipe with weed and lighting it up at a bus stop in broad daylight. He tells us to go to this coffee shop that we never find. After a long, mapless walk, the Thursday flea market covering Waterloo Plain stumbles into sight. Antiques, new clothes, used clothes, crafts, 2 girls selling T-shirts who could model for the Yab Yum brochure. A lace bra over a net T-shirt never looked so good, and those shorts. Ooh. The blonde T-shirt salesgirl's gorgeous brunette friend has a German Shepherd, and this is a well-trained dog. He's actually helping unload the truck. The girls know I'm staring, and they enjoy it. When T-shirt girl's shepherd delivers the final bundle of shirts, he jams his nose at her crotch into the sweetest of creases. And the dog gets smiles and sweet words in Dutch. That lucky son of a bitch. Berlin to Amsterdam, the differences are stark. Every time I saw a German Shepherd in Berlin, my mind saw sharp teeth shredding human flesh. In Amsterdam, it's Mother Hubbard who's getting the bone from the dog. I think the dogs in Amsterdam actually are getting laid more than me. There, the dwarf says, across the street. The odor of burning marijuana greets us. Finally, a coffee shop. Yeah, the menu lists 14 different types of weed, 10 kinds of hash. Prices range from 15 to 40 guilders. How much is that in real money? What's the orange roughy like? As this bearded barman pulls a Tupperware tub from under the counter, Red-Eye Rick, the long-haired stoner at the bar with us, starts comparing the orange roughy stone to a summer's day or something. Barman pulls off the Tupperware lid and reveals a single orange-haired bud the size of the dwarf's head. And dwarfs have big heads. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Hallelujah! I lift it. I smell it. I want to make love to it. My God. But from Red-Eye Rick's description, it's not the high that I want. Hey, man, what kind of high do you want? People are actually reading my mind in Amsterdam. Okay, I want something to make me relax, tingle all over, and let me know that I've arrived in another world. Well, okay, what you want, man, is a blend of grass and hash. Red-Eye Rick then narrows the choices to 3. Oh, and we want to be awake enough for the red light tonight, says the dwarf, startling our red-eye host, who hadn't seen him down there yet. Whoa. Barman smiles and pulls up 2 Tupperware tubs. He opens them and sets them before us. Afghan hazel hash and Van Gogh red hair. That's what you want, man. It's all right here. Oh, that's great, I say. Why don't you give us half a gram of each? We've got a 1 gram minimum on the first purchase, barman says as he hands me a white plastic card with little squares all around the edges. And when you fill this up, the next gram is free. There's actually a marijuana hash stash minimum you have to purchase? I like this place. I like it a lot. Sure is different than back home in Misery when I walked into a liquor store for the first time in my life. I'd like to buy a pint of Jack Daniels, I said in my oldest voice. Hey, don't I know you, boy? Aren't you John Muller's kid? You want me to tell your dad, you son of a bitch? Misery to Amsterdam. The differences are very stark. 10 years of prison in America sit openly in front of me on the greenhouse counter. Well, you'll have to give us a gram of each, I say, as I slide the greenhouse barman Amex Gold for the 50 guilder total. How much is that in real money? It doesn't matter. Guilders are fairy tale money. Don't leave home without them. Ding! Want to get high? Well, at the greenhouse in Amsterdam, they don't take Visa, but they do take American Express. Red-Eye Rick lights the firecracker twist at the big end of this tight-cone, paper-filtered, museum-quality joint. He lets the fuse burn. Then he hands me the bomber. "Take your first Amsterdam stone," says Red-Eye Rick. I pull the smoke deep into my lungs. "Hey, whoa, don't take too much." But I'm the greedy American kid smoking legal pot in a legal place for the first time in my life. I cough for 5 minutes. It's embarrassing. My mind races. My vision is blurred. George Washington actually wrote that he grew enough hemp to make good rope in summer and have good smoke all year. They should put George Washington's face on the Gilder in Amsterdam. In 7th grade, I dried up grass clippings in the microwave and sold them around my junior high as grass. I wasn't lying, huh? Great idea. See, no kid would admit they didn't get stoned. So soon I had that pair of Nikes that my family couldn't afford. I can't really catch my breath. I'm gasping for air like my dad did at the end. 50% of America's prisoners are doing time for drug offenses. Thank God for all of America's sheep people. Funny, Nancy Reagan's Just Say No campaign never mentioned Valium and Prozac. Red-Eye Rick is a pro. He keeps the greenhouse customers very happy in their joints. He gives lessons in slowing down and rolling a big firecracker joint. All he wants is a little share of your smoke. Hey, I'm not complaining. He's good at his job. Just another working stiff rolling another spliff. I take a smaller hit this time. It tastes fabulous.
"We just got in from Germany,"
says a dwarf from somewhere down low. Whoa, double bummer. You gotta get laid. And Amsterdam is the premier fuckland attraction in this worldwide carnival that we live in. Everyone gets laid in Amsterdam. And I'm ready to jump on the fuck-me-go-round. Hey, where do you go to get laid, Rick?
Red light.
Is it good? Oh, it's great, man. 50 guilders.
Yes, but we heard the red light is dangerous.
Oh, it's the dwarf. No, man, it's not dangerous. It's wonderful. Pick your girl, pay your 50, go inside. It's easy. Are the private clubs any better? I ask. More expensive, man. The red light's fine. Yeah, but if you were going to recommend a club, which private club would you recommend? Yab Yum is best. Red-Eye Rick says so convincingly it's 40 minutes before we learn he's never even been there. It's noon. I'm stoned out of my mind. It's time to find the Amstel Hotel while my legs are still working. Our smiling bellboy gives us a comic salute and a ta-da. Our doorman tips his top hat and opens the door with a flourish. Hot brunette Marta tells us the room is ready, yeah, but instead of handing over the keys, she actually takes us to the elevator and up. Did you find the coffee shop? The greenhouse. Oh, you're lucky. Last year, the greenhouse was voted top coffee shop in all of Amsterdam. She knows we're stoned. I mean, I'm trying to be cool, but the dwarf is giving it away. He looks like an Oz flying monkey down there. His eyes are redder than a baboon's ass. When the elevator door opens, Marta leads us down the wide hall. She puts a key in the door and opens it. Please, she says. Why is this woman so totally alluring? Here is your telephone and a list of numbers for all departments of the hotel. But if you just push 5, we can connect you. You have direct overseas dialing. Shall I demonstrate any special features on your fax? Oh. Yeah, I'm high touch, not high tech. I won't be using that, thanks, I say to her. You are in Amsterdam for pleasure only then, she says. That's it. That's what it is. You know, she doesn't look away. When our eyes meet, she engages me. She doesn't hang back. Coming in Amsterdam for pleasure is always the best way. Does she, Of course she does. She knows exactly what she's saying. She's toying with me. I like this game. In the bathing suite, she's showing us the bathroom, is your jacuzzi tub. If you have any questions on how... no? Very good. It is a bathing suite. The tub is designed for 2. It can fit 3. Marta says as her eyes flick from my candy store to the dwarf's. Jesus, you could fit 50 people in this bathroom. You could put a U-boat in that tub. The shower has a window. My entire Chicago apartment could fit in the toilet here. Back in the living room, Marta opens an armoire. Here is your stereo system, both CDs and tapes. If you don't have any with you, our library is quite extensive. She has such a great voice. It turns up like the tip of her nose. She opens yet another armoire. Here is your video system. We have a large library of tapes also. Marta's eyes twinkle into mine. She knows I find her attractive. Hell, she finds herself attractive. Your refrigerator, stocked with champagne, white wine, Dutch beer, soft drinks, and of course, Dutch chocolates. The excitement in the Dwarf is clear. And the bedroom is the biggest bed I've ever seen in my life. Marta smiles. I'm glad. The spa is on canal level, weight room, Olympic pool, hot tub, sauna, steam room, cold plunge, and lounges by the canal. Press B in the elevator. Robes are here. Feel free to wear them down. Marta. Yes, Mr. Muller? We're going to need 2 beds. Or 1 bed and a crib for the Dwarf. We do. Marta plays a sexual tension in the room like Metallica's James Hetfield plays guitar. I'll send someone up to take care of it. The instant I think she's making me an offer, Marta changes the rhythm, mixes it up, gives me the switcheroo. She opens the door to leave. I'm sorry to see her go. That was the best sex my mind ever had. I spin the thermostat as low as it can go.
Are you planning on freezing us out?
The Dwarf asks from the open living room window he's framed in, standing on a ledge. I like any room as cold as it can get. Probably a reaction to those misery summers that were like 150 degrees. We had a fan, but we couldn't turn that on because Dad didn't want to run up the electric bill. So I grew up hot, and I hated it. As I head over to the other open window, the Dwarf passes Red Eye Rick's special joint to me. And I love long baths, I say. When I was a kid, 4 other people always beat on the bathroom door for something. When I'm doing my show, I take a 2-hour bath every afternoon. It's where I write everything. I take a second hit, and I pass Red Eye Rick's tight cone spliff to the Dwarf. Do we always love the things that we couldn't have when we were kids? I wouldn't mind a bath, but I'm too dirty for one. That swimming pool of a tub is going to take forever to fill, and I'm stoned as hell. I don't want to drown. Then I discover a shower head the size of a turkey platter. I stand there for an hour. I love how marijuana makes me remember that every cell of my skin is alive. I lather up like I'm taking a shower outside in the tropical rains of Dutch Singapore. Wearing my Turkish 10-pound Amstel hotel robe, I watch the 7,000-centimeter Philips TV as I eat a pound of Dutch chocolate, drink Dutch beer, and suck on Amsterdam Red Eye. After I surf CNN, MTV, 2 Dutch broadcasts, 3 German bands, and an English channel, I hit, hard as it gets, balls-to-the-wall porno. Come in! I yell down the hall to the knock at the door. You need me for your bed? As I snap the TV to the next channel, I turn to see a bubbly blonde whose white pantsuit makes her look like a nurse more than a maid. Her eyes twinkle into mine. We need a bed divided, I say. Her eyes flicker to the TV. She giggles. I turn back to see a Dutch girl filling up more holes than a woman on the previous channel. I punch the channel forward. 1 guy, 5 women, all somehow attached. She giggles. I jump up and switch the TV off. Amstel beds do not divide. They're very proud of that fact. With no crack, no one can fall through. She giggles. Did you see the wallpaper? She asks, heading into the bedroom. Am I really stoned or am I dreaming? On an ivory background, red-etched 18th century couples are in different parts of a scarlet forest in the wallpaper, looking like they're ready to have sex. Heidi's eyes dance into mine. Ding! Damn it, the Mancow question flashes. Heidi laughs, turns, and leaves. Damn it! No! Does every woman in Amsterdam play with sex like this? As the door closes down the hall, I flip the TV on. Porno is all I have. Then I hear a giggle. She's still here. As she strips off her blouse, she's giggling. Everything makes this girl giggle, except for the things that make her laugh. Her trousers fall to the snowy carpet to reveal a snowy carpet of her own. Heidi pushes me onto the one bed indivisible for us. She giggles as she squirms on top of me. We wrestle. I throw her onto the bottom. We fight about what goes where until both of us are laughing, which is pretty hard when your mouth is full. But she does it. Someone with no idea who I am is welcoming me to Amsterdam in a way that I'm never going to forget. Heidi ho! Damn it, I'm awake. The beating on my arm stops.
Time for some pussy,
says the dwarf in some lame-ass Mexican accent. Outside, the sky has darkened to a deep party blue. I get out of that huge bed, enough for 6, with the sail-sized sheet wrapped around me. As we head out to party, I pull the door shut behind us. I turn that little do not disturb sign over so it now reads, in 4 different languages, maid service, please. And I remember the best maid service I've ever had in any language, and I laugh.
I have brought the extra bed for your room, Mr. Muller,
says this old woman pushing a roll-away bed down the corridor. She wears a starched white skirt and a blouse with green and gold Amstel piping. Where's our other maid at? I ask.
Oh, you have no other maid, she replies.
Heidi, come back! From here you must walk to the red light, cabbie says. 5 blocks. The square and all the streets ahead shimmer with moving humanity. Man, that is a lot of people. Well, there will be more, cabbie says. It's only 10:15. Germany to Amsterdam, again, the differences are stark. Only exhausted waitresses are still awake right now in Munich. From behind plate glass windows, women in sleazy underwear beckon you into their boudoirs like sirens. The first red light woman I see is this beautiful Asian in little burgundy panties and bra standing in this picture window. There's a sparkle in her eyes. I'm ready, but another guy gets inside before me. I can see 3 other windows. A Nordic blonde with jumbo puppies smiles into my eyes, then down at my crotch. One window has its curtains pulled closed. A petite blonde in lacy salmon panties and bra stands in the next window over. A man goes to her door. She leaves the window to open it. How much? He asks. 50 guilders, says the whore. The man goes inside. I look down at the dwarf.
That's about $30, Mancow.
Whoa, he says. Very cheap. We walk the street. The other Asian women wear white lingerie that glows bright in the UV lights of their rooms. Most of the blondes wear black. All of the women wave, purse their lips, and touch their bellies and thighs, like Prince in the 80s. Damn it, I am ready. All of these women look a hell of a lot better than the lime green blondie, and at half the price. But the dwarf wants to see the whole fucking district first, so we walk the 10 square blocks of the red light. For 5 blocks along one side of the canal, 5 blocks along the other, a block deep on the side streets. Every race, every kind of woman shows her wares in the windows, like smiling cuts of beef. Some of it prime. I'm hungry. Prices range from 50 guilders for pretty and interested women, down to 35 guilders for the Dogtown bitches with a lot of attitude. Jammed between the woman windows along the canal are half a dozen coffee shops, 9 porno stores, and 12 different live show theaters for people who want to get their rocks off watching other people screw instead of actually doing it themselves. Sleaze and filth, gentlemen, sleaze and filth, all day, every day, sleaze and filth. Come on in, watch the action. 2, 3, and 4 people having sex at once. What do you think about snakes? Excuse me, you look like an educated man, Professor. Each in their own way, 12 different hawkers pitch Dr. Amsterdam's feel-good snake oil remedy for all that ails you. They give their spiels in English, German, or French, depending on what they think you are. I don't like that one guy talking to me in German. Damn it, I'm an American. Some hawkers actually try to speak Japanese to the dwarf. I don't want a show. I want a woman. But first, I want to feel my body tingle. As we settle into a red light coffee shop couch, Bob Marley is singing No Woman, No Cry. We order some brewskis and puff on a not too spiffy spliff the dwarf has rolled with his fingers that look like my toes. We head back across the canal to the first side street we saw earlier. Burgundy tie girl pulls me in with come hither looks that say drop your load on my lips. I go to her door. She opens up. I go inside. She pulls the curtains across the door and the window. I pull out this fairy tale money of theirs. She takes my money. She takes my dick. She pushes up my t-shirt and kisses my nipples. I've never felt that before. She's got soft tie lips and a softer tongue. She pushes my fairy tale bill into the slit of a box. I kick off my sandals and drop the shorts. She crosses to the wide single bed against the wall, and I'm right behind her. I could come just watching that burgundy tie ass move, but I don't have to. She pats the bed. Right here. I lie down. Soft skin of her breasts and nipples slide along my face, into my mouth. Her long black hair tickles my chest and belly. Her mouth follows. She says, finding my fleshy Dr. Evil doll at stiff attention. She licks the head. She licks the shaft. She takes me into her mouth. Oh, wait a minute. What about a... She rips a packet open, sets the condom on her lips, and slides the raincoat over me with her mouth. A blowjob or pussy? She asks. I thought this was a package deal here. Both? Fine. She purrs. Whoa. No hard sell here. I can get whatever I want. We fucky? I say as I ease off her lacy panties. She lies on her back on the bed and she pulls me in. I feel her soft breasts under mine. I feel her warm breath in my ear. She closes the door to Aladdin's cave and squeezes. She's milking the cow. I'm doing a Thai girl in Amsterdam. Life is good. Oh, happy and panting and satisfied, I roll off my soft-skinned whore. She gets up, goes to a basin, invites me over. While she washes, she points to a little trash can. I drop the raincoat in on top of about 50 others. She washes me off and even towel dries me. She puts on her little burgundy panties and bra. I put my clothes on, and I walk back into the Amsterdam streets, perhaps one hole closer to feeling whole. She opens her curtains, stands there again, looks at me and smiles. And then she looks at other men. Hey, Dwarf, come here. Yeah, I'm over here. You ought to try this Thai girl. Whoa! I wonder if she has a stepladder. But the dwarf hesitates. Another man succumbs to the soft Thai charms and walks through the door to Bangkok. All right, the dwarf bought a pipe. After a bowl of smoke canal side, I'm ready for number two. No, another woman. I drop trowel and 50 guilders for a big Nordic blonde this time. And the dwarf goes back and buys my leftover Thai food. I feel great. Then the handcuffs, black mask, all the ball gags in a red light porno store pull my hazy mind back to thoughts of Mrs. Gutman, the most evil, damaging, and despicable person to ever enter my life. She claimed to be a teacher, but really, she was a gangster, a humiliating destroyer, a terrorist in pearls, Hitler in a push-up bra. Her Auschwitz, Dachau, and Buchenwald was in small-town Missouri. Most people called it an elementary school when asked, but disclaimed all knowledge of the horrors that went on there. Is there anything more frightening than an evil teacher with tenure? I entered fourth grade as a normal kid named Matthew Eric Muller. Before fourth grade was over, that person was dead, and some other person had taken his place. With the casual, brutal power of an omnipotent prison guard, Mrs. Gutman crushed me, purposely destroyed me, shamed me every single day in front of my peers. I was bad with numbers, which became clear to Mrs. Gutman and everyone else on the very first math race day. I don't remember who she called to the front of the class first, but I know that I was dreading the moment she'd call on me. You see, in a Mrs. Gutman math race, students were called in front of the class to solve a mathematical problem. You had just so long to solve it. If you solved it, you got to sit down. If you didn't get the answer, then someone else came up in front of the class as well. And then the race was on again. Because, see, only the person who solved it first could go back to his desk and sit down. If neither could solve the problem in a certain amount of time, both had to stay in front of the class and keep trying until someone got it right. It was Mrs. Gutman who put me on the competition treadmill that I'm still living on today. As fourth grade started, there was one thing that frightened me even more than math, and that was being in front of people. What is 4,669 divided by -4? That's what the problem sounded like in my head. And that's before you added the whole class staring bullets through your back as you stood at the chalkboard. On the very first math race day, Eric Muller was the last child to take his seat, and not because he had gotten one right, but because he never could. The next day, Mrs. Gutman had another one of her goddamn math races. I didn't have time to be afraid. I was the first one called, and again, the last one to sit down. The next day, Mrs. Gutman called me first again. Every child but me solved the problem. I couldn't. I was crippled in fear and always the last one to sit down again. One day I gathered up the strength and went to Mrs. Gutman and asked her if she could please let me not participate for just one day. She agreed. The next day, Mrs. Gutman smiled at me, a huge, cheeky grin, and then called me first again, and I was the last to sit down. I went to her again. What happened? I begged her, please, can you call me later in this math race? She smiled and told me, I like your begging. The next day, the first word on her lips was my first name. Again, I failed. Mercifully, the next day was Saturday. I had lived through 1 week in hell. On Monday, Mrs. Gutman called me first, and on Tuesday, and on Wednesday. Tearful begging had brought no relief. On Thursday, again, I was first, and Friday. And then on Monday, always I was the last to sit down. I worked hard to solve the problem, sure ashamed of being the dumbass, crushed by this constant ridicule in front of all my friends I had grown up with. It didn't make any difference. Every single day this devil teacher ran another one of her stupid math races and called on me first. Nothing I could ever do kept me from being the last kid to sit down. Every single day, everyone beat me. Masses or asses, the Eric Muller that was laid dying. There should be Nuremberg trials for teachers like Mrs. Gutman, for crimes against children, against innocence, crimes against the world, really, for torturing human spirits and damaging mankind. They'll slaughter whatever spirits they want to prove they have power and to demonstrate control. I have the power, you wormy little sack of shit. Squirm when I say squirm. Standing in a porno store in Amsterdam, remembering the tears roll down my cheeks. After months of constant humiliation in Mrs. Gutman's 4th grade class, something inside me snapped. What could I lose? I was already dead. I accepted the fact that I'd be called up first, and I accepted as well that I wouldn't sit down until after the math race was over. Since I knew I was going to lose, I stopped even trying to compete. I showed up at the starting blocks, and when the gun went off, I started doing a little dance. Let the others run the race. She could humiliate me if she wanted to, but she couldn't make me run. I stopped even thinking about math and wrote down fantastical answers that were just as wrong as the ones I'd worked so hard to get right all those months. I will never forget the first time I heard someone giggle behind me while I was up at the chalkboard. Every molecule in me popped and responded. I was reborn. The chalk set of tits I had drawn had brought a laugh. And then a happy face. Was that a happy face or an expressive zero? I got courage. I started outlining my hand. Look, a turkey. Come on, you did that too. The next day I outlined my hand, giving Mrs. Gutman the finger. Breasts, a penis, anarchy symbol, lots more followed. Up in front of everybody, I was beginning to win. You see, I had the jokes erased before she could see them, but even so, Mrs. Gutman decided I needed to be punished. She sent me for a good spanking. I got spanked most days after that until school ended. It made me even more courageous. The pain became a rush. Spanking actually sounds like clapping to me. Humiliating math race time slowly became the one-man show, right there behind Mrs. Gutman's back. My show is still going on behind her back. I didn't want to sit down anymore. Ooh, call me first. I want to get up. My ass still hurts from yesterday. Who cares? A vicious cycle. But I had stolen her captive audience for up to 20 minutes every single day. She boiled at the core. I had won. Except I still can't balance my checkbook. At the start of Eric Muller's 4th grade class, I had been a pretty normal kid. Pretty square, pretty straight, a Midwestern boy of average stature, if that. By Christmas, I had scabs on my nose from the treadmill. I had followed the rules. I had stayed out of trouble. But I could not follow Mrs. Gutman's rules, so I rewrote her rule book. My comedy club right there in front of the class was my only goal. At night, I spent more time thinking of ways to entertain the class the next day than I did on all my other homework combined. Over Easter, I entered a chrysalis state. By the time school started again, the worm had become a totally new creature. It was spring, time to come out, like the flowers. Bright and amazing colors. Eric Muller was murdered. Mrs. Gutman had played Dr. Frankenstein, but I unleashed the monster on the world. The villagers would never be the same. I couldn't realize it until after it fully incarnated. But on April 17th, in Mrs. Gutman's class, Mancow was born. In school, I wore the best and the weirdest outfits Goodwill could sell me for $5 a week. I was a kid, yet I dressed like a cut-rate Sammy Davis Jr. The school administration wasn't fond of the new me or my new look, so I got shipped off to Christian school the following year. I love Amsterdam. I'm not afraid of much any place, but here, I'm not afraid of anything. I say to the dwarf as we sit canal side.
Let's go see Van Gogh,
says the dwarf. So we walk to Amsterdam's Rijksmuseum. The cold stone building assaults the warmth of the day. The lobby is as far as we get. Two guys in uniform sell tickets inside a glass booth that makes them look like they work in a bank that's been robbed one time too many. The dwarf's Butch and I'm Sundance. Life is a flicker. When life ends, it's like a library has just been burned to the ground. A library full of volumes that took a whole lifetime to write. We think we know that library, but we don't. We look at the shell and say, yeah, that's my dad. But do we really know what's inside? All those volumes, all those histories, all those names, dates, adventures, feelings, relationships. The whole damn library with all of its contents burned to the ground when he died. Sure, I thought I knew him, but I didn't know him at 17 when he met the 14-year-old girl who would one day become mom. I didn't know him at 6 when his dad ran out on him. I didn't know him when he went to join the Marines to fight in Korea. When the man with the biggest heart I've ever known got rejected because of a bad heart. I lived with a man who railed at my brothers for not wanting to kill America's enemies in Vietnam, but I didn't know him. I entered my father's life in room 34 of the John Muller Library. Not page 34, not chapter 34, not volume 34, not even shelf 34. 33 rooms had already been built. One for each year my dad lived before I was even born. The whole vast collection, all those intricate stories burned to the ground when he died, all disc erased, as if they never existed. I am a sequel to that man, and a Xerox is never as strong as the original. As we leave the tomb of Van Gogh's body of work, I realize this whole bank, church, museum was built for a guy who just didn't fit in, who never fit in. Vincent van Gogh got thrown into an insane asylum and never made a guilder from his paintings. Today we call him a genius, a visionary, a prophet of a whole new way of seeing. Why? Because we are going crazy. In today's psyche and marketplace, this guy's a saint. People pay fat dough for his relics. A renegade, an iconoclast, a crazy man. Those who have ears, let them hear. When I interviewed Jeff Bridges on Mancow's Morning Madhouse, I knew that his dad, Lloyd, was very sick, dying. You can see how frail he is and blown away. When Tommy Lee Jones trusts a bomb to him, and Jeff has to walk away to let his dad be blown up and scatter into 1,000 pieces. That was coming for both of us in real life. And we both hated not being able to do anything to help save our dads. Deal with it. We talked about it on the show. Lloyd Bridges, a man ahead of his time. Out there on the edge, like my dad. Sea hunt, roots, picking the wrong day to stop smoking, drinking, sniffing glue in airplane. Seeing the man who was omnipotent at the start of your life becoming weak and feeble brings death to your front door. Makes you realize how brief a time 50 or even 80 years really is. It forces awareness of how much and how little each life really means in the grand scheme of things. And if you're lucky, can make you fearless for a time. We go back to the red light district in Amsterdam. The streets are full. Outside restaurants are packed with people. They're drinking beer. Coffee shops are filled with smokers. There's food everywhere trying to wake up your belly through your nose. In a porno shop I go into, I look through the hundreds of magazines that show women with animals, dogs, eels, and horses. That's too weird. I move to a shelf with S&M and bondage mags. I'm not the Marquis de Sade. I move on. Oh, God.
What is it?
Kitty porn. The shit that I see turns my stomach. Look, I hate rules, and I love Amsterdam's freedoms. But I hate that these magazines even exist. Revolting. When my dad knew that death was imminent, he had to put his house in order. 3 months before he died, he gave me the Japanese flag that my uncle had brought back from the war. On some South Pacific island, a whole platoon finger-painted their names on this flag in their own blood. Actually, 22 Japanese soldiers committed hara-kiri as Americans took the island. He also gave me a real human shrunken head, too. It really used to be somebody's head, shrunk down to the size of my fist. No eyes, leathery skin, lips sewn together. Looks like a Bill Clinton voter.
Do you know why cannibals don't eat clowns?
Yeah, they taste funny.
Ugh. Is there any joke in the world you don't know, Mancow?
No. After my dad died, I found all the tapes he had of me playing radio. I never even knew he had them. But there they were, labeled, sitting in a cabinet. Lots of them. My tongue tastes salt as I lick my lips again. Sometimes I get afraid the art of communication is dying. It's not something kids get taught anymore. As we move more and more towards an electrified, computerized society, our ability to communicate is weakening. We sit around in our lazy boy recliners holding our remotes instead of getting outside and living. We're evolving to a point where people will be born with remotes in their hands, a flash remote or something. You remember those butt-headed people that could only communicate by blinking in the old Star Trek series? The Cage was the name of that episode. I think that's where we're headed. Already, we're talking less and less and less. Kids today can't even talk to each other.
But with all the input they're getting, they might actually be smarter.
Probably. But verbal communication skills are dying. We're losing them to the computer. We're losing them to Game Boys. We're losing them to television. Talking to a 15-year-old is frightening. They can't talk. I really think, in the future, the guy who can talk is going to be worth his weight in gold. The program dickhead at KDON Radio in Salinas actually talked better to computers than to human beings. Instead of going out and actually talking to people and what they were listening to, he would bring in test groups to listen to my show at 6 o'clock at night. No wonder they didn't like it. Guys like that never understand human emotion. We're people, damn it, not machines. We emote. In the radio business today, a song doesn't get on the air unless it's tested and researched and put into the computer and then spit out again. Nobody hears a song anymore and goes, wow, that's a good song, let's play it. See, the station sets up a test group to ask 500 other people sitting around what they think. And they check what other stations are playing. Then they sit around asking why radio's so fucking boring. It's boring because everyone is ignoring their gut. No one's feeling. Shit, radio's an art. It's not a science. Sure, yeah, do your research. You want to study the product. You want to visualize. You want to merchandise. You want to capitalize. How about empathize? Damn it. Feel something. Joseph Campbell once told me, follow your bliss. And you can't do that if you can't feel. Modern man is destroying his instinct. We're ready. Marta says goodbye as we walk through the Amstel Hotel lobby. Her smile, her outfit, her eyes, everything. It sparkles. The smiling doorman in his fairy green coat with gold piping opens the door. The grinning bellboy in his pillbox hat opens the taxi door. Can you recommend a private club? Yab Yum is best, this cabbie says, handing me the brochure again over the seat. Oh, let's go, I say. How much? For 150 guilders, you can drink with the girls as long as you want, and well, you know. Yeah, I thought I did, except I didn't. Cabbie pulls up to an anonymous canal-side row house. A valet opens a taxi door and escorts us up 10 steps to a big black door with a huge gold knob and knocker. Valet rings the bell. Welcome to Yab Yum, the fat man in the bad suit says as we enter a true bordello lobby. Red carpet on the floor, red velvet on the walls. Huh? There's not one sensuous beauty in sight. Oh, there's an old broad in a carny ticket booth, but that's it. Oh, and this fat ass. Hey, how much is it? 150 guilders. Do you take American Express? Yeah, of course. Well, you're on your own, I say to the dwarf as I put out my hand and he gives me the Amex Gold.
Does that price include drinks?
Asked the dwarf. Yes, all drinks, yes.
And women?
All of our girls are Dutch. The dwarf isn't making a move for his visa just yet.
How long do you get with him?
Asked the dwarf. I actually expected to hear the fat man say 7 inches, but he doesn't. Do whatever you like, gentlemen, only 500 guilders. Suddenly, it's like we're at the OK Corral and we're staring down Fat Man.
500 guilders per...
It's the dwarf. Per hour. Whoa! And no way to even see the girls without dropping $1.50? I remember Berlin's live sex show boulevard and nothing behind that curtain. The dwarf is already leaving, so do I.
Waiting for your fucking cut?
The dwarf screams at the cabbie, storming by the cab, still sitting outside.
We can have 3 red light women each for the price of this place.
He's not picky. He never sees their faces anyway.
Oh, where do we go now?
Asked the dwarf.
Should we just order in?
How?
I saw some signs on the lamppost in front of the hotel.
I thought those were like parking signs.
That's for escort agencies.
In metal? Damn! How much cash do we have?
Believe me, they take plastic.
The whore delivery to the Amstel Hotel was a freak show. Hey, dwarf, did you ask for a chick with a dick?
Certainly not.
Hey, wait a minute. There's only 2 people here. I ordered 3 girls.
Maybe the chick with a dick counts as 2.
Will you shut up? I'm pissed. The dwarf is laughing. Get out of here. I'm going to the red light. This is my last night in Amsterdam. The dwarf pulls bills from his pocket. I hope that's not my money. I'm not paying for a tripod woman.
This one's on me, Mancow.
We didn't do anything. What are you paying them for? I'm itching to get out the door. My last night in Amsterdam, I want my pestle in a vessel. True fact, 46% of American women would rather shop than make love. Is that because what a woman laying down her body usually gets is fucked instead of what pleases her? No wonder laying down her money at Macy's gets her more turned on. Suddenly, I sense a presence. Behind a beaming dwarf stand 2 of the most astonishing women I've ever seen in my life. Oh, buddy, how much is this going to cost?
Do you care?
Right now, not a whole lot.
It's your last night in Amsterdam, Mancow. I leave you with the good hands whores. Go to work, girls.
The dwarf acts like he's leaving, but he actually goes into the closet so he can watch and masturbate. Leaving Amsterdam, I feel like I'm leaving home. Leaving freedom to head into the unknown. Without Dad, America is going to feel foreign. On Monday, for the first time, I will broadcast from a whole new studio to a personal audience that Dad's not in. Hey, I don't have anything on me, do I? I asked the dwarf at the airport.
Not a leaf, not an ash, not a Ziploc bag.
'Cause I hear they check you pretty closely when you fly out of here. I wish they didn't. I bend over and give the dwarf a hug. You are my brother from a different mother. I'll see you in Chicago. The KLM stewardess? Stunning. A real Dutch girl, no question. I've leaned my seat back, but she says I can't do that before takeoff. She leans over me and gets me erect. She plugs a set of headphones into the jack on the seat arm and hands them to me. I pull out a yellow pad and Sharpie and start to write Monday's show. Slackers! That's what my dad called my whole generation. But maybe we just don't want their world. Maybe we saw through the illusion until disillusionment took us. I mean, look at the world. Look at what those before us have done. Try to find a tree older than your grandfather. They've cut them all down. We can't create our world as well as our fathers did because they used all the raw materials. They destroyed it. They plowed it all down and replaced it with structure. Corporate America was happy. All those 60 idealists, huh? The generation that was going to change the world? What the hell did they change? They got stoned, they made love, they had babies. Then they discovered they had to feed all those babies, and they became corporate America. You know what? My generation is better. Maybe not the greatest generation, but more realistic. We can't be fooled. We hate phoniness. We hate fakes. We can smell them. Listen, man, this ain't no Shangri-La. When people say to me, "Have a nice day," I always say, "No, why you're so selfish? I'd like more than a nice day. How about a whole life?" When you're a kid, you're alive, you taste everything, you touch everything, you smell everything, you feel everything. Then the world knocks us down. It bashes us, it breaks us, it makes us numb. As a kid, I swore to myself that when I got older, I would never lose the wonder, that wide-eyed, optimistic child's view of the world. And I haven't. You had a good sleep? My KLM stewardess is tapping my shoulder. Sorry to wake you, but it's time to bring your seat to the upright position again. I'm really not awake. She smells wonderful as she leans over, pushes my buttons, and gets me erect. Through the window, I see the blue of Lake Michigan racing to the Hancock building. Fuck, we're low. We're going to clip the top of the cock and plummet to our Peter Graves. Maybe I picked the wrong day to stop smoking grass. We are on our approach to O'Hare. Local time in Chicago is 10 past noon. It's the pilot. 8 hours of flying, and in Chicago it's only 1 hour later than when I left Amsterdam. Temperature, 34 degrees Celsius. How the hell hot is 34 degrees Celsius? Like all Dutch people, the pilot reads my mind. That's 94 degrees Fahrenheit. Humidity is 86%. Damn. The temperature in Amsterdam was perfect. Out my KLM window, I can see Navy Pier. I see it every day from my apartment, but now I'm seeing it for the first time. It's not Navy Pier, not in my mind. It's the Cole Brothers Freak Show from my childhood. I'm there again with my dad. Up to Chicago from Kansas City, 6 years old, looking up at a woman so fat I can't see her stool. There's a man with all of his skin different colors, with pictures all over his body. There's a guy sticking swords down his throat and driving an ice pick into his head. Wow! Doesn't he need that part of his brain? There's a man with no legs, moving around on his hands. Scares me to death. But the best, the worst, the coup de grace is Popeye. He's a large black man in a white sailor suit, and he just sits on his chair looking normal. Oh, but he isn't. He tells jokes, a crowd gathers around him, then he bends down to tie his shoe. While he's tying his shoe, I see something fall out of his head. He raises back up. Popeye has no eyes. There's nothing in the sockets except a cord running down his cheeks. His eyes are resting on his cheeks, right below his nose. He asks for a business card from the audience. My dad hands him one. Popeye holds the card over his ear with one hand and lifts up an eye with the other. Mr. John Muller. Oh, you're from Missouri. This Popeye doesn't need spinach to be special. I'm impressed. I'm terrified and enthralled. God, I'd love to see that show again, but it wouldn't be the same without you, Dad. Two guys out on their own adventures in the big city of Chicago, and my trip through the fatherland is all over now. I'm back in the U.S. without you. Mancow? Yeah, it's a KLM stewardess, one I haven't seen before. I'm sorry about your dad. I fight back a flood of emotion. It takes me a long time to collect myself. Thanks, I say. She can hear the emptiness in my voice. It takes a while, she says as she tousles my hair. You'll be okay. Dear God, I hope so. Welcome home, Mancow. Thanks. She gets my duffel bag down from the overhead bin. Every other passenger is already deplaned into Chicago. And when I get 10 feet down the gangway, she says, I love you. I stop. I wait. I turn. Thanks. I say. I'm glad for these words from a stranger that make me feel a little bit less alone. Love your show. Her name is Sufa. She gets me a ride on the stewardess shuttle to the Sheridan. We cab over to dinner at Shaw's Crab House. As we talk, I have a strange realization. Every man, every woman, every human, every creature that lives long enough joins the Dead Dads Club eventually. Everyone. I think we need a shower after our flight, Sufa says. Do you want me to scrub your back? Ding! Oh no, there it goes again. Sufa won't let me pay for dinner. She insists we go Dutch Street. That's my kind of woman. We go back to her hotel. Sufa uses a loofah on my skin for over an hour in the Sheridan shower. And the fun just keeps on flowing. At 9 p.m. Chicago time, which is like 3 a.m. in Amsterdam, I leave. I have stuff to do before tomorrow's meeting with my Madhouse crew. Patrick Duffy, now you were Bobby Ewing on Dallas. Yes, I was. And now you're in some sitcom with Suzanne Summers? Yes, I am. I didn't want to talk about some stupid TV shows with Patrick Duffy or about acting, although I thought maybe I could learn a lot from the man from Atlantis. I brain flashed to that interview when I find a mountain of waiting mail topped by a package from Patrick Duffy. My dad was still alive when I interviewed Patrick, but both of his parents were dead. I really wanted to know how he dealt with his own parents' death. I remember their deaths, not because I knew them, but because one night they were butchered in Montana. It was a heinous, brutal murder, and because of Patrick, sensational enough to make national headlines for a long time. Those murders affected me. It affected a lot of people. But it didn't seem to affect him. I wanted to know why. I mean, he caught a lot of shit from everyone for not being upset, for not cursing his parents' murdering butchers and swearing revenge. He caught hell for being so cool, for staying calm. I don't think I ever saw him cry. TV shows had a field day. Next on hard copy, vroom, a brutal murder in Montana and the strange religion that keeps Patrick Duffy from being upset. Something like that. I saw the program, pictures of butchered bodies, gore, police, but nothing from Patrick. And nothing about his religion except it was weird. I remember the media playing it up like he was some kind of freak. Do you feel closer to your parents after their deaths? I asked him on the show. He told me he'd rather not talk about that. I remember you catching hell for not really being upset or when they were murdered. I think the press was horrible. I'm sorry to bring up the subject. I know you caught a lot of flack. Then let's not go on, he says. Look, I'm not trying to trap you to make you look silly. I need to know. Yeah, nothing to know. No, look, you don't understand. Right now, my dad is really sick. He's dying of cancer, and he's going to die soon, and I'm going to miss him. I want to know what it is that you know, what it is that you believe, what it is that has enabled you to let go of your parents. How is it possible to feel closer to them after they died? You mean my weird religion? Yeah, well, tell me about it, because all I can feel is that when my dad goes, he's gone, and I hate that feeling. He continued. No matter how much anybody loves their parents or how much they love you, there are always tensions, right? Yeah, sure. Oh, right. Families, always. Tensions, yeah. And those tensions, those feelings always interfere with really feeling close. You're always having to prove yourself somehow. See, my religion teaches that when people die, all those human tensions disappear. All the problems disappear. But the spiritual connections, they stay. So you still have all the things that were good without having to worry whether some new disagreement will push them away again. Wait. How could you not be mad at their murderer? Look, if I could destroy cancer right now, I'd do it in a heartbeat. Death comes for every one of us sometime, Mancow. When death comes, it doesn't matter whether it's knives or cancer that murders the ones we love. People are spirits, not bodies. Nothing changes in spirit when the body dies. Except the spirits keep in touch more easily after death without the bodies. The package from Patrick is the book of his weird religion. A religion that teaches spirit is real and immortal. Okay. Teaches one God, an infinite creator. Well, all right. Teaches that a God-inspired mortal, or God in human form, brought the world a path to follow to get to the peace of heaven. The man who brought this good news to the world was a reluctant teacher prophet who taught we shouldn't worry about the body or material things, but he wasn't a Jew from Galilee. His name was Siddhartha, the Buddha. Patrick's weird religion is one of the most believed religions on the planet Earth. The sayings of Buddha that Patrick had underlined for me all had to do with death and the continuation of spirit. I'm taken back to another time in my life. It was dark and quiet as I lay in my bed in the family home in Missouri. My thoughts are troubled. I was far from sleep when I heard soft footsteps and the door to my mother's bedroom being opened. My panic dissolved into calmness and trust. This was no intruder. Those were my dad's footsteps. I listened as he checked on his wife and each of my brothers. He knew I wasn't sleeping when he opened my door, but he didn't say anything, and neither did I. In the dim light of that hallway, every bit of him was lighter, less burdened, more peaceful than I've ever seen him before. My father stood in my doorway a long time as we looked at each other. I could feel his spirit blowing over me. Love, knowledge, lots of stuff was passed between us. When he gently closed the door, I felt full. I swear to you, I watched him walk softly back to the family room as though there were no door between us. My dad had been unable to walk for weeks, but I swear I heard him and saw him walking the halls of our home. It would be 2 more days before his silent, motionless, blinded, decomposing body finally died. He was hell to look at. As his body stopped functioning, his organs pulled water from wherever there was moisture to draw, turning his skin to jerky, stealing the flesh from his lips, turning his tongue to a small, dark finger, hard and dry to the touch, unable to flex into language if there had been enough breath to speak. Sometimes I knew his thoughts. Those hands that had so often squeezed mine in encouragement lay on the bed like an eagle's great, dry, and unmovable talons. I would squeeze that unfamiliar hand, trying to reassure him. The skin on his face drew so tight that the paper-thin lips no longer covered his teeth. He looked more like the mummy he once took me to see than a living man whose body was being eaten by carnivorous cancer cells. This body was not my dad. This body made me cry and prevented me from remembering what he looked like. How could I forget my father's face? The overweight man with the pot belly hanging over his belt, the cigarette always hanging out of his mouth as he cooked knockwurst on the backyard grill. These images lost to me. They would not come back to me until I looked through old family pictures after he died. This desiccated body on the bed was in no way related to the dad or the man I had known. Where was his mind, his spirit, his liveliness, tenderness, love, laughter, even his anger? Could any of those things have really been inside this hunk of flesh? No. No. This flesh can be no more than his earth suit, which, like the salesman he was required to wear while on call here on this planet. This worn-out, threadbare earth suit made Dad look human once, every bit as much as the suits he wore to garden made him look FBI once. Poor Dad. He bought all of his suits too cheap. They all wore out too soon. As I walk down the hall, I see the photos. A 4-shot photo strip taken so long ago in one of those photo booths on the boardwalk in Wildwood, New Jersey, where my parents met and fell in love. There they are in sepia tones, smiling, laughing, staring at me like I'm the camera. Dad is my age in these photos with my mom. And I don't feel sad. CD players, DAT players, cartridge tape decks, a reel-to-reel, a turntable, amplifiers, and more. 2 solid walls of equipment create the sanctum's left and rear boundaries. At nut level, in front of me, because I never sit when I work, is the 30-channel control board where my fingers will dance over volume pots for the next 5 hours as I decide exactly how much people will hear from every piece of machinery. Every phone line, every microphone, every moment. Nipple-high glass creates the invisible wall dividing the inner sanctum from the larger temple of the studio. Irma, Turd, Phone Girl, and DJ Lovecheese face me from the other side of the glass. Freak and the sports guy du jour check in from across the street because even in this new larger studio I helped design, there isn't room for those guys. Through the soundproof window behind my crew, I can see a waiting room. To my right stands a half wall of shoulder-high equipment and the narrow entrance to my tiger cage into which no one passes during broadcast without my permission. Beyond this inner sanctum, in the narrow space to the right, sit the rolling carousels with all of the different recordings I use during my show. We call these recordings carts. As my tape runner finds the carts I need, I want to start the show. The crew puts on their headphones. As the second hand sweeps towards 5:30 a.m., I slide volume pot 9 from 0 to 6, ready to broadcast. There's the theme song. The commercials from last night end. I punch play. My theme song plays. Up on pot 10, play cart 2. And now, from the cramped and dimly lit studios, the man who would be cow, Mancow Muller. Yeah, mics go up. Everyone's cheering, whistling, and applause from the crew. Then I open my mouth to wake people up like a noisy cock. Hey, I'm just back from Amsterdam. I'd read about the place. I'd heard stories. You know, I've got a fertile imagination, but I gotta tell you, never in my wildest dreams did I ever imagine anything like Amsterdam. Oh, wow. Yeah, okay, I've subscribed to High Times. Yeah, I knew they had pot there. But this in no way describes what this place is, the sensation. You can't imagine the feeling of absolute freedom and liberation. You can't imagine the first time you're able to buy pot legally. Look, my dad used to have an anti-grass party line. If you smoke marijuana, you move up to the harder drugs, you'll wind up doing crank, you'll end up smoking dick for crack or whatever he used to say. You'll wind up doing heroin, you'll be mainlining. If everybody smokes, society as we know it will be destroyed, son, for God's sake! But in Amsterdam, that isn't true. In Amsterdam, that's not what happened at all. In Amsterdam, the number of hard drug users has gone down since they started selling marijuana legally. In Amsterdam, I saw a society where everybody is happy. Everyone is stoned, I don't know, but all of them are happy. I find that very interesting. Without laws confining pleasure, people are happy. With total personal freedom, people are happy. Even the Amsterdam cops are happy. And people over there actually like the cops, who seem more like a Maytag repairman, hanging out in their uniforms with nothing to do. Maybe they get a little bored. They're just waiting around for a call that rarely comes. Deciding between glazed or sprinkled could be the greatest decision these policemen ever make. But, that can't be true because none of them are fat. Unlike America, where the cops are always eating and always busting chops for stupid stuff that in Amsterdam is legal. Maybe my dad didn't know what he was talking about. Or maybe my dad was a liar. My mother was a liar. I made a funny face, it didn't freeze. I ate my carrots, yet I'm wearing glasses. I picked my nose, my finger didn't stick in there. I never washed my ears, and yet there's no potatoes. What, freak, what is it? Yeah, I told you could buy marijuana on the streets there. Freak, how often have you been to Amsterdam? Well, never, but then shut the hell up and listen to someone who has. You don't buy marijuana on the streets in Amsterdam. You buy it in a coffee shop. And they've got menus for marijuana and hash. And they've got rolling papers sitting in shot glasses on the tables and little pieces of cardboard for making your own filters. What about the women? It's turd. Do they really stand in the windows? Yeah, they stand in picture windows and sexy underwear, turd. Yes, they do. And what a variety. I saw tits as big as Irma's, smiles as sweet as phone girls. They even have fat girls, turd. And every time I saw a fat girl in a window pudging over her lingerie, I thought of you, buddy. That's how I like 'em, Mancow. Turd's chortle grows into the deep laugh that rolls through his whole huge body until it shakes the studio. Irma, tell me, when you came to America, did you have to sign a paper promising to shave under your arms? No, I didn't have to sign anything. Well, God bless you for doing it anyway. And God bless all American women, because the most frightening thing I saw in Germany, which is pretty scary to begin with, was underarm hair on all the women. I mean, that's just unnatural. There's nothing wrong with hair under your arms, Mancow, says Irma. Yeah, well, that's because I'm a guy, Irma. Look, I don't pluck my eyebrows or wax my legs or trim my bush either. Lots of women in Europe don't trim their bush, which I have to say I liked, but wait, is seeing those headlights of puby fuzz coming at me down the street worth having to look at that armpit hair? And here's something I want your opinions on. I talked to a European connoisseur who said the taste in the pit tells you if the clam's worth eating. I know we've got callers wanting to talk about Amsterdam, and there's a lot I have to say about Amsterdam and Germany, and thank you, everybody, for your cards and letters and calls to freak about my dad while I was away. Look, it meant a lot, but right now, I want to hear what you think about armpit hair on women. I say let the Europeans lick B.O. if they want. I want the tuna taco, and down there, I like it paved, not shaved. I like 'em big, hairy, and untamed. Did you get a piece of the wall, Mancow? Ask Irma. No, I didn't, Irma, but I got lots of pieces in Amsterdam. High five, yeah. All right, 50 guilders. 50 guilders for that. Mike in Highland Park. Hey, man, what's happening? Volume slider up to 8. Yo, Mancow, glad you're back. Love you, love your show. Thanks. Hearing the best of Mancow's Morning Madhouse on tape was great. Freak was playing stuff I missed the first time around. I loved it, but I got to tell you, Mancow, we sure missed you while you were away. Hey, thank you. That means a lot to me. Hey, I just wanted to say I lost my dad 2 months ago, and I feel for you. Thanks, Mike. How old are you? I'm 20. I wanted to hear you were 60. I'm sorry you didn't have more time with your dad. Thanks, Mancow. Me too. I yell off Mike for the tape runner to go get my Kink CD. Hey, how did your dad die, bud? Cancer, Mancow, just like your dad. Hey, would your dad have ever smoked marijuana? Fuck no. Hit the button. Be glad for that delay. You can't say the F word on the air there, Mike. Hey, what if the doctor had prescribed marijuana for your dad? My dad swore he would never do radiation or chemotherapy, and then he did both before he died because doctors told him he should. Hey, coming up here on Mancow's Morning Madhouse. When will the doctor be on, phone girl? 8:30, Mancow. Load the Kinks CD. At 8:30, we talk to the doctor who prescribes marijuana to every patient he has who has cancer. Wonder if he's ever been to Amsterdam. Hey, Mike, and anyone else in the Dead Dads Club, it's helped me a lot to talk about my dad these last 10 days. I want to recommend it. I recommend you tell stories about your dad to your buddies, especially the things that made you laugh. There's a lot of who they were in each of us. Glad you're back, Mancow. Thanks, buddy. I'm glad to be back, too. People are listening. People are feeling now. All right, this one's for me and Mike and everyone else who's lost their dad. This song is a thank you for their having lived and been in our lives. It's the Kinks with Days. Punch play, CD 1, pot 11 up, treble down. This Thursday, Jonathan Harris is going to be in the studio. Dr. Smith, remember Lost in Space? Oh, William. That's my all-time favorite TV program. He's going to be here in the studio. All right, look, to anyone who thinks I'm a weirdo for loving Lost in Space, I give you Europe, where a mouthful of underarm hair is sexy on a woman, where every day in every major city they run a Jerry Lewis Film Festival. How can you respect a culture that finds Jerry Lewis funny? Every day, like Locutus of Borg on Star Trek, I plug in and become my studio. If I couldn't do that, I couldn't do the show. Things in my studio are too insane and move too fast. It's 5:40 a.m. I'm happy with the show so far. Great, kid, don't get cocky. Only 4 hours and 50 minutes to go. I'm in trouble. Huge trouble. Management is pissed at me for doing something I thought was nice for homeless people of Chicago. Wouldn't it be nice to give homeless people a decent meal? That's what I thought. Look, pigeons can't fart. Feed them Alka-Seltzer, they explode. I send my guys turd and freak out in Mancow Mobile 1. They feed some pigeons. Watch them explode. Then they take their little heads and smash them between two bricks. On the radio. Live. It sounds revolting. Coo! 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 Psh. The crunch of little pigeon skulls between bricks. Ugh. People freak out. Turd and freak pull the pretty pigeon feathers off their birds. Turd broils the meat in a little portable cooker in Mancow Mobile 1. My boss, Sergeant Hair Club, barrels into the studio. You cannot do this! Mancow! I guess he's right. 30 seconds later, 6 Chicago troopers stormed the temple of my studio. Turn off the tape now! You can't do this! Turn off the tape! All of them shouting, 6 pistols point at me. Their eyes say they want me dead. Their faces twitching less than their trigger fingers. There is no tape. You can't kill pigeons! We already have, but we won't kill any more, officer. I have never seen cops so angry. Let me go on the record here and say, I don't like drawn pistols, especially when they're pointed at me. Would these guys really shoot me over some stupid fucking pigeons? Where is the pigeon van? Trooper 1 demands. Mancow Mobile 1, not really a van, it's more of a truck, and I... Tell us where the fuck it is! I have to move fast to hit the dump button to make sure the F word doesn't get on the radio. Turd, where are you? Phone girls patched him through live. I'm moving, Mancow. Where is he going? Trooper 1 demands. Turd, where are you going? I'm going to feed pigeon to homeless people down on Lower Wacker. You can't do that! Trooper 4 screams. He's right, Turd. Look, tell him it's squab. I mean, not even a homeless dirtbag would eat a pigeon. You cannot serve homeless people pigeons! Trooper 3 screams. But come on, fellas, it's already cooked. You want us to just throw away food? I mean, these people are hungry. Stop the show! Stop the fucking show right now! These cops are acting like somebody has a howitzer trained on their families. Maybe somebody does. Animal rights people on the phones are going absolutely nuts. General Manager Mike Fowler walks into the studio. What's the punishment here for killing pigeons? General Manager Mike Fowler asks, trying to play negotiator. $200 a pop! What are you laughing at, smartass? Keep your hands where I can see them! Whoa, I'm getting my wallet, says Program Director Dave Sergeant Hair Club Richards. Everyone's pitching in, except Irma, who's been going crazy, like we're crushing cocks between those bricks instead of pigeons. Every male bird is a cock, Irma. Okay, how much does Mancow owe you? Mike Fowler asks. In a walkie-talkie consultation with the station, the troopers decide they've got tape-recorded evidence of 6 pigeons biting the old plop-plop fizz-fizzing into squab heaven. $1,200. You owe us $1,200, citizen. We've collected 6. Pay us right now or we're going to shut down the show. I can't help. They won't take Amex Gold. Finally, Irma opens her makeup case and pulls out a wad big enough to choke a pony. What have you been doing, Irma? You owe me big time, Mancow, Irma says as she rolls 6 singles off and puts the wad away. When Mancow Mobile 1 pulls into Lower Wacker, 50 armed and dangerous cops stand ready to keep the homeless people hungry. Finally, the troopers in the studio, money in their hands, pigeon-killing ticket in mind, decide they've done their duty. They decide to let Turd and Freak exercise their God-given right to feed the homeless, while 50 cops on Lower Wacker cry foul. Mancow's homeless pigeon blowout had cost me 12 bills. I was trying to feed the homeless and get rid of a few flying rats. Everyone is going nuts. You know what? If we had thrown oily rags on homeless people and burned them alive, I honestly believe I would have gotten in less trouble. The phones will not stop ringing. Reporters, lawyers, animal rights nuts. This will not go away. I'm getting death threats for killing pigeons. Even pigeons get in on the act. I parked my 1972 yellow Ford Maverick in perfect working order on the roof of the parking garage. Now it looks like Hamburg after an all-day Allied pigeon bombing. There's nothing else to do. The next morning on the show, I reveal the truth. There were never any pigeons. Love Cheese recorded pigeon coos off a sound effects CD, then laid in a muffled explosion from a sound effects record. The snap of their tiny necks, that was me eating a potato chip. And then Freak and Turd actually smashed bricks together out on the street. The feather plucking, that was a listener that volunteered to help us out on a portable phone, ripping 2 pieces of duct tape apart. Every telephone line was engaged as I slid pots like mad to create this live mix of elements. None of it was real, none of it. Sure, you heard pigeons dying, and you heard homeless people eating. We did feed the homeless, but not the squab that we had told them. Lower Wacker's hungry Chicago homeless people ate an all-you-can-eat Mancow buffet of KFC rotisserie gold, which cost a shitload less than those pigeons. P.T. Barnum had reared his head in me again. 6-foot man eating chicken. I still had to pay the fine. The cops would only believe their ears. We have recorded proof. You killed 6 pigeons, boy. Must be true. They heard it on the radio. I could never kill an animal. I'm an animal lover. I always use a condom, though. And then there was Mancow's frog in the microwave day. I refuse to comment on that. It's a radio show, not a radio fact. What part of this don't people get? Give me voices, sound effects, atmosphere, and I'll make you believe I am anywhere doing anything. I love radio, and I love creating everything from nothing. Mancow's Morning Madhouse is a P.T. Barnum 6-ring circus every single day. How much is real? How much is fake? You decide.